creator of the NRE brand, gives his insight and thoughts on the world of comic books, gaming, tech, and media industries as the host of Neo Reality Collective. Experience a slew of regular episodes covering news and pop culture, along with reviews and editorial pieces showcasing the best and worst of our ever-expanding multimedia world.
Welcome everyone to Neo Reality Collective. I am your host Eric Brown, and it has been a few minutes since the last episode. So let's get right into things. This was originally supposed to be episode 89. However, the Developer Direct project went for way longer than I thought it would be, so that got changed into a full-length episode to 89, and this is now episode 90. So get ready for that, and I already have episode 91 in the works with getting the news and whatnot, the top news that I felt like were important to talk about, that I wanted to cover, but right now we're focusing on 89. So if you've been watching Harley Quinn or anything else related to the DC Universe stuff that is not related to James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU project, you'll notice that it doesn't have the DC opener sting like Creature Commandos did or what the Superman movie will have. Well, James Gunn said this on Threads, which has been one of his main platform of choices, saying this: "Because Harley Quinn was developed long before us, we didn't think it was fair to put the DC studio fanfare on there. On Penguin, which we had a small hand in developing, we have a different DC studio animation at the end." He then confirmed that there would be a clear differentiator in the future to further make clear what belongs to the shared DCU and what doesn't, and saying that they're currently working on DC Studios' Elseworlds opening, which is in line with how James Gunn said that the Batman Matt Reeves stuff is going to be in its own universe. The Harley Quinn show is in its own universe. My Adventures with Superman is going to be in its own universe, probably. Unless they cancel it because they need to protect Superman brand, even though they had like 18 different Batman going around. But, yeah. Yeah. But it's nice that they're trying their best to make sure and to let people know that this is, in fact, not related to the DCU that James Gunn is spearheading. I hope things work out on that front, and I look forward to seeing what the Elseworld logo they develop for this. Meanwhile, Star Wars is in the news again, and I still don't care much like I used to, because Star Wars has become wrecked for me. And the Empire Strikes Back period is over, and now we are heading into post-Return of the Jedi period. Set to explore the New Republic era, the new Star Wars series comic relaunch is set to launch on May 2025. And it will be set after the Battle of Jakku and the end of the Galactic Civil War, as Luke Skywalker, Han, and Leia work to establish the New Republic and restore order to a chaotic galaxy. Oh, God. So, yeah. Phil Noto and Lino Yu are providing covers and artwork for the first time, and it's set 2 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, following the last major clash at the Battle of Jakku. In this, quote, hopeful new era, the New Republic is seeking to establish itself as the ruling force of the galaxy. However, Luke and his friends will face new challenges as opportunistic pirates, thieves, and other villains seek to take advantage of the power vacuum. I mean, I don't particularly care because it's supposed to go bad in, like, The Force Awakens, and then we get the nihilism and the no caring and the character teardowns and wrecking everything they've built. But, yeah, they talk about more about this stuff, about how they can speed into this new uncharted era. It already has been charted, even predeterminedly beforehand. Yeah, see, I want to care about Star Wars again. It's just that so long as I still have the ugliness of the sequel trilogy in my rearview mirror, it's not going to go away. It's not going to change the continuity. It's not going to go ahead and at least establish an alternate timeline or third timeline so long as that continues, I'm just not interested in Star Wars material anymore, because it's just going to lead into that misery fest that we got with the sequel trilogy. All the characters being miserable and everything they worked for in the original and prequel trilogies no longer mattering. So, yeah, I'm not interested. I'm sorry, but I'm tried. I just can't. I literally cannot try to get myself invested in this anymore. So, yeah. So, Marvel Rivals has their Spring Festival event, which adds a handful of new hero skins and a soccer game mode that many people thought looked familiar to Overwatch and Rocket League. It's just that one game is more successful than the other, so sorry, Overwatch. But yeah, with this whole development going on with Marvel Rivals Ascension and the Overwatch game falling apart more so, making an Overwatch 2 basically being a pointless sequel, it's not looking good for them. It really isn't. So Marvel Rivals makes a PvE mode, and it's successful, and it doesn't have the gripping and pointlessness of the monetization aggressiveness. Then Overwatch is dead. Like it's already dying, but like we'll call it like it is. It's gonna be dead if it ends right here. If they do that. Also, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was doing pretty damn well from what I've heard. I have not watched Sonic, but there has been an announcement. According to Variety, Paramount has scheduled the next Sonic movie to hit the big screen on March 19, 2027, to give us 2 years until we see the big blue blur back in action. However, no further details have been provided on the next Sonic movie beyond the release date. Which, honestly, I saw this coming after the success of the third movie. So, yeah. Plus, people want to see Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba get together in their own series. Idris Elba even says he wants to do a Knuckles Shadow series. And the fact that this is a video game franchise that has gotten a successful movie, it's basically been such a interesting experience to see video game films finally get the long overdue deserved treatment, instead of being seen as, we'll just slap the name on it and it'll sell. Or the ones that are created by Uwe Boll. But yeah, and oh man, it's been wild to see the success. I'm glad for it. I'm glad it's also doing good quality content, and I'm glad it's getting the box office returns from it. Meanwhile, Star Wars movie director from Deadpool and Wolverine, from the director of Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine, their Star Wars movie could star Ryan Gosling. And I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot there was going to be another Star Wars movie project. And it's the Hollywood Reporter confirmed that it's meant to be a standalone movie and presumably won't be a trilogy. And yeah, Levy was originally set to direct a boy band movie starring Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, but the Hollywood Reporter says that if Ryan Gosling officially joins the film, then production on a Star Wars picture will move up and become Levy's next film. Rupert set production to begin this fall. So, yeah. And there's also the whole Mandalorian Grogu film that just wrapped production in December, with plans to release it in 2026 of May 22nd. And there's also a new trilogy of movies focused on Rey, so okay, which is set 15 years after the events of the 9th movie. So yeah, you see my disinterest in this? I've tried so hard to care, but I just can't. So, yeah, anyways. So, the voice actor for The Witcher protagonist Geralt has backed CD Projekt's decision to go ahead and focus on Ciri for The Witcher 4. I mean, it made sense. I mean, yeah, for some reason people got really angry got really angry with this character being the new main character. I don't know why, because she was in all the other games and she clearly was going to be the successor. But yeah, and yeah, and they insist, and the directors insisted that this was always the plan. She was going to be the fourth game's main character, and yeah. So, yeah, they talk about this, and they say how this was discussed 9 years ago, and they said very instantly it was pretty much Ciri going to be the new main character after Gaelert's story was done. I just was like, okay. And when I heard there was backlash for it, and I was just confused more than anything else, because it was like, yeah, it would make sense she would be the next main character. I mean, does it matter if the game's good and the story's good? Huh? Does that not count anymore? Because whammon equals evil or something? I don't know. So, while that's been going on the comic book side of things, Marvel is going to do Godzilla vs. Spider-Man, which is the third issue of this multi-crossover special of one-shots involving the Marvel Universe taking on Godzilla, even though Godzilla is actually canon in the Marvel Universe. He's just massively asleep. He hasn't been around since the days when Transformers comics were by Marvel. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, people, I don't know if people remember this, but they do. I think people did forget, because Marvel tried to make everyone forget that, yeah, Godzilla was part of the Marvel Universe, canonically speaking, once upon a time. But then Marvel lost the rights, and they had to act like it never happened, even though it did. And it was just this whole mess, and yeah, and just like the ROM Space Knight stuff, they had to say it happened, but we can't really say it really happened in a matter of speaking. I mean, we can still use the character design and some of the original concepts we made, but we can't really, like, do anything with it beyond that, probably. So, yeah, it's just so confusing on how rights go ahead and move around so much. But yeah, and the fact that, and then I thought about it when I was watching Lee Carr's retrospective about the Transformers. I was like, wait, why didn't we get the Godzilla kaiju monsters taking on the Transformers? That would have been awesome. But yeah, we'll see where things go from here. But I'm pretty sure Spider-Man cannot fight Godzilla on his own. Meanwhile, Ted Price, the founder and president of Marvel's Spider-Man, Ratchet & Clank, and Resistance developer Insomniac Games, has announced his retirement from the PlayStation brand after 30 years. Making the announcement on Sony's website, while a follow-up to the PlayStation blog post delved into his replacements, who are going to be 3 people co-heading the studio. And the studio is currently in, quote, one of its strongest positions has been for years, Price said. Therefore, last week I felt comfortable announcing to the Insomniac chick that, after having been incredibly fortunate to fill such a fulfilling career in games, I will be retiring from the industry at the end of March. He said the decision was made last year because it felt it was simply time to sit aside and let others pave the way after more than 30 years of leading Insomniac. So, yeah, Ted Price is gone. He's leaving at the end of March. It's going to be a sad day. We'll see where things go from here. I'm hoping for more updates on Marvel's Wolverine. And if rumor has it, they're going to try and do a Marvel X-Men game, which will be awesome, hopefully. But, yeah, let's just hope for the best on this project. So, yeah, while Wolverine's been in development, got limbo for some reason, The developer won't say when it will come out, but did acknowledge what it called a pent-up excitement for the upcoming game. Following the retirement of the studio, having 3 co-heads, they came out and says, we've announced Wolverine and we like to talk more about it, but we like to be like Logan today and remain very stoic until it's time to pop up the claws down the road. As much as we have pent up excitement for it, we got to hold on to it. So that's it. That's about as much as we can say about our upcoming projects today. And there was the leaked footage that came out back in 2023, and that was a huge mess, and that led to certain things going on, along with the whole Spider-Man 2 DLC being canned, which sucked. So, yeah. And I still remember they said that the hackers reportedly had threatened Insomniac, demanded $2 million of ransom not to release the data, and it was not paid, and the info which was 1.67 terabytes of data was released, containing videos, and images of Marvel's Wolverine, and a release date through the 2030s. Its release slate through the 2030s, and even personal information on the staff, which sucked. So, while that's been going on, Benedict Cumberbatch came out and decided to accidentally say something about the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars films, and he decided to accidentally spoil something massive. He decided to reveal that Doctor Strange will not be in Avengers Doomsday, but will be a central part of Secret Wars. Saying they are very open to discussing where we go next. Who do you want to write and direct the next one? What part of the comic lore do you want to explore so that Strange can keep evolving? He's a very rich character. To play, he's complex, contradictory, a troubled human who's got these extraordinary abilities, so there's a poet still to mess about with. And yeah, and they say it's because the next character is not aligning with this part of the story, but he'll be back for Secret Wars. My God. And it's going to be a mess, I bet. Like, even with the Russo brothers at the helm and some of the old team from that made Infinity War and Endgame, yeah, it's going to be a big one. It has to knock it out of the park. Like, they already have things going on with the Fantastic Four, but we'll talk about that in the next episode. But, yeah, it's going to be a big deal. I'm hoping things work out, and I'm hoping that we get everything tidied up in a neat little bow. Meanwhile, the Samsung Galaxy S25 was officially unveiled, and I don't use the Samsung Galaxy. Pre-orders launched on February 7th, so yeah, and it's already costing a huge chunk of money, because that's how it works these days with smartphones. But they involved the Galaxy S25, the S25 Plus, and the S25 Ultra, and yeah. So, I don't know when release date's coming out, but it is already set for pre-orders. Also, bringing into Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Season 2 has already launched their Terminator crossover event. And we even could get a Terminator Tracer pack that comes with 2 skin models after the T-800 Arnold Schwarzenegger cyborg that James Cameron made popular in the 80s, and that titanium core skin ripped out straight from the movie, featuring the machine's iconic cold facial expressions and glowing red eyes. And there's a whole bunch of emotes and a whole bunch of stuff to get, and there's a challenge going on currently for it, so we'll see how that goes. I'll try to get it. I already completed the Squid Game one, which was fun, and I love the map we did with that, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do well with the Terminator event, but I'll try my best as I can as I get back into it. But if they keep doing the AI nonsense with the Call of Duty Black Ops content, I'm going to scream. So, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Yeah. EA admitted, yeah, it failed. So, please don't. This came out back in October 31st, 2024. It's currently February 8th, and it only sold half that. It sold 1.5 million. EA was hoping for 3 million. A 50% loss. And then they went ahead and whined about it, saying it was because it wasn't a live service. And I was like, no, it was because it wasn't good. But, you know, having that as the argument is out of the question. In fact, some people were even complaining about the art direction of it and how they really, really kept forcing here's the thing. I don't care if a character says they, them. I don't care about I care about trans rights in real life. But this is a video game. If it can be organically placed in the story, fine. But if it can, it's just very forcing of it and try to be on the nose about it or try to make it like it's such a big deal when in reality it should be treated like it should be treated in the real world as just, oh, it's normal. It's human. It's human rights. Let's do it. But Dragon Age: The Veilguard had this real problem. Like, they had Isabella not really act like Isabella and doing stuff that made no sense to me. I saw these clips and I was like, I'm so confused. But at least I'm not going to go ahead and freak out over pronouns like a certain event that happened over another big video game that came out a few years back. Because that was a thing. I still am stunned that happened. Oh, by the way, EA Origins shutting down, so, yeah. After 20 years, after nearly 20 years, it came out back in 2011, it's 2025. Oh god, it's been over 10 years, I'm so old. Yeah. And considering how outdated it is, they are officially decided to outright replace Origin with the clunky EA app. So, yeah. So, there is another problem with this announcement. Like, if they were just replacing Origin with the EA app, fine. But, EA decided to be horrible about this and say, do you own Titanfall on Origin, but can't access your account? Too bad. If you don't make a formal account switch from Origin to EA, you'll lose access to the games you played for. Oh wow, we're doing this. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. It's EA, so it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. And then on January 23rd, CD Projekt Red had announced that patch 2.21 for Cyberpunk 2077 is rolling out for players on all platforms on the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and marginally fixes photo mode and DLSS4 support for PC players. While patch 2.2 will be adding a much deeper look at customization of photo mode, it just heaps the fixes for that mode. One of the most notable differences is the ability to finally save characters in V's rotation and position within your photo mode presets. And there's also texture improvements and consistencies being addressed. And yeah, CD Projekt Red has done a major turnaround, I'll give them that, and how they tried their damnedest to fix this. I'll give them credit. There's a patch notes on their site that goes over all this stuff, but man, I'm hoping the next game they do works a lot better and they take their time with it. Like they should have taken. Like if they had released the game at the same around the time Phantom Liberty came out, it would have been heralded as a masterpiece. I think for many. Instead, it's a game that it is a masterpiece, but it's it kind of came out at the wrong time. Oh man. Meanwhile, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 finally has its story completed and just needs to start production. So, yeah. So, translated by Eurogamer, Final Fantasy series producer Yoshimoto, I try to pronounce it, and the Rebirth director said the development of the highly anticipated conclusion is progressing smoothly, saying, I'm very satisfied with the story, so I'm sure fans will be satisfied with the final chapter. Or adding that Tetsuya Nomura, creative director of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, gave him the homework to ensure this was the case. Currently lacking an official name, and was required to have respect for the original Final Fantasy VII alongside a new level of satisfaction not felt in that game, saying, I'm very satisfied with the story, so I'm sure fans will be satisfied with the final chapter. And, yeah. The first two games were pretty damn awesome. I enjoyed every minute of it. Maybe one day I'll talk about it, but, Part 3 will pick up immediately after the events of Final Fantasy Rebirth, and yeah, though very little known about this one so far, development began back in 2022, but Square Enix has said when it will end, only vaguely knowing it hopes to release by 2027. Something it was said, however, is that it will not cheat when it comes to the Highwind airship. This allowed players to quickly move around the map in the original game, but now in the world of Fast Travel, many fans wondered how the iconic ship could be implemented, saying, we will not cheat with the airship system in Part 3, but we will take the challenge head on so I can freely fly all over the game map. That's gonna be a deal. Meanwhile, Black Ops 6 was unsurprisingly the best-selling game in 2024. For the 16th year in a row. Yeah, that sounds about right. Meanwhile, Capcom has decided to destroy their entire credibility by revealing that Capcom is experimenting with generative AI to create hundreds of thousands of unique ideas needed to build in-game environments. Oh dear. And remember back in September, EA said that AI was at the very core of its business now. Look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. AI has a place at the creative table, but it should take the entire table. I've said it and I will continue to say it. Like, I've used AI to generate some concepts and ideas, but if I ever want to implement those concepts, it will be fully human. And it's basically to just expand stuff, not really like replace the whole creative process. That's just dumb. But as that's been going on, let's get to another company that's also pissing people off and also has been in decline lately. Assassin's Creed studio Ubisoft. They finally decided to unveil what the mysterious Infinity is, and they have now announced that all future Assassin's Creed games will be featuring something called the Animus Hub, which is the previously reported Assassin's Creed Infinity. And it will be split into a number of sections, which will include direct paths to opening not just the main campaigns, but also other Assassin's Creed games that they're owned and downloaded on the system. And featuring ongoing content, including new narrative missions tied to the game's new modern-day story with free rewards baked in for the Assassin's Creed Shadow game. New content expected to be released regularly throughout the Shadow's post-launch period. After its delay, but it's looking pretty good. I'm hoping it works out. And the director even says the delay was to polish parkour, especially on super complex rooftops, because we're set in Japan. So the game is now set to come out in March of 2025, with the company citing player feedback as the main reason for the delay. Because they know that it had Star Wars not bombed commercially and critically, they probably would have released it back in February at least. But yeah. And back on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, it will not be a PlayStation 6 exclusive. It's going to be on all systems. Ouch. So I'm pretty sure some people are going to be mad about that. Mostly the tribalists. But, gamers should be allowed to play everything. Meanwhile, Tim Sweeney says Epic can afford to keep spending billions fighting Apple and Google for the future of Fortnite and mobile for decades to come. Oh, goddammit. Yeah, this has been a massive, complicated lawsuit. It's been going on for years now, and Tim Sweeney is not backing down, clearly. He talked about this a lot because he's trying to get Fortnite back on the iPhone and Androids in the States while avoiding paying some store fees. Is well documented. The gist of it, Epic doesn't want to pay the now standard 30% store fees on revenue made on mobile games. Instead, wants to run the likes of Fortnite through its own mobile store, much like how Google has somewhat done that. The Epic Game Store, where Apple getting in the way and gobbling up its profit. Back in 2020, the dispute ended up with Fortnite blocked it for release on iOS. In the US, nearly 5 years later, it has yet to return. Whereas in Europe, it's doing pretty damn well. Man, it's been a saga. Meanwhile, Lantern's DC Studio, the DC Studio HBO series that's set to release in production, have finally cast Sinestro. Yolik Thompson, and he appeared previously alongside other key role characters who are set to join the series. Sinestro is coming to the Lantern, to the DCU, and yeah. Per the official logline, the story follows a recent new recruit Jon Stewart and Latin legend Hal Jordan, two intergalactic cops drawn into a dark Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. And, you know, he was originally portrayed as by Mark Strong in the 2011 Green Lantern film, but no one wants to talk about that. But, yeah. By this point, it will be the description of the character in the series. It says, ruthless yet undeniably charming. Sinestro is a former Green Lantern who turned rogue. Sinestro's manipulative nature drives his endearing obsession with his former mentee, Hal Jordan. So, we're already going to get the Yellow Lantern Corps probably in this series. Probably. Or we'll have a tease of the wider Green Lantern mythos. I look forward to that. And we'll see how that goes. I honestly think this could work out. We'll see when the production begins and when we get our first glimpses of it. But I've been excited for this period of DC, and it's been doing pretty well, along with the announcement of the DC All-In initiative since last year going on. It's been pretty spectacular. I've been all in on DC. And not only that, DC has proudly announced Fire and Ice When Hell Freezes Over, another DC All-In comic, which was said to be 6 issues, launching on April 9th. Spinning out of the pages of Absolute Power in the DC All-In special, Fire and Ice are back, and their powers have swapped. Yeah, because of that fiasco of Absolute Power, it's led to this massive power switcheroo around for many characters, and has, well, caused a lot of problems for characters. And some got their powers back, some haven't yet, and it's going to be a mess nonetheless. Not only that, but the first major crossover event for DC All-In starts in April as well, with the We Are Yesterday, which will be a, 6-part crossover, including the Legion of Doom and more on the pages of Batman, Superman, and World's Finest, Justice League Unlimited, and Batman, Superman, and World's Finest 2025 Annual. That's just the first 3 phases, though. Pre-order is already available and will be on sale throughout April. And yeah, right now, I don't know what the other 3 parts will be. I'm excited for them nonetheless. It seems Mark Waid is going to be doing most of the work. A little tad excessive, but Mark Waid has a very, very passionate way to go about this. But it is going to be co-written with Christopher Cantwell and Morgan Hampton, with art by Dan McDade and Clayton Henry, specifically with the annual event. Whereas part 2 will be mostly written with, the writer Mark Waid and artist and Travis Moore are staging one of the biggest throwdowns in DC All-In when a specific issue of the comic book comes out with Justice League Unlimited, and there's also the events of Superman, Batman, World's Finest issue 38, which will be the Dark Knight Man still being hard pressed to keep up with the psychic powers of DC's Sinister Simian, but this time there's something different, as if Grodd has the knowledge of the future. Oh dear, someone who knows the future. And it remains to be seen what any of this has to do with the death of Darkseid, even though I'm pretty sure Batman Superman is supposed to be a prequel to this comic book series set in the past. But okay. Though I haven't caught up with it recently, but we'll see. DC also has announced their initiative for the Summer of Superman Publishing Initiative, which will be basically having with Dan Slott joining up with Joshua Williamson, Mark Waid, and George Jimenez for DC Summer of Superman Special, which features the incredible lineup of comic book creators coming together to celebrate the Man of Steel's enduring legacy as a pop cultural icon, as the symbol of truth, justice, and hope in his first comic book appearance all the way back in 1938 with Action Comics #1. This is all to just start building, get some more traction for the Superman movie coming out soon. And yeah, Superman Unlimited acclaimed writer Dan Slott will be joining this universe with the Superman Unlimited series with Joshua Williamson and George Jimenez participating in comic book retailers with this oversized issue called Summer Superman Special, April 16th. And it will deliver a single story in 3 acts, highlighted by Jimenez's dynamic art that has made him a favorite for comic book fans worldwide. The wedding of Lana Lang and John Henry Irons serves as the backdrop of the outpouring love and support from family and friends. However, the big day will also be in trouble as threats from the past, present, and future will spawn new major conflicts for the Superman family, as expected. So, yeah. Then Superman 25 will come out on April 23rd, which, just as Superman and Superwoman are recovering from their battles with the Time Trapper and Doomsday, the biggest problem of all returns with Superman 25, hitting comic book retail on April 23rd. Lex Luthor makes his big epic return at DC All In and is ready to fight for control of super corporate metropolis, written by Joshua Williamson, featuring art from Dan Mora, Eddie Barrows, and Abner Ferreira. And it celebrates the last 2 years of Superman, connects the Summer of Superman specials, and sets up a brand new storyline featuring Superman's greatest enemy, along with a spectacular Dan Mora wraparound artwork, as always. Then there is Superman The World, which is the big graphic novel multi-anthology story, and I'm so glad Superman's getting this push. Then there will also be continuing projects with Superman Good Guy Gang, which is, the first in a multi-volume series, a graphic novel being the perfect entry point for early readers 5 and 7 to discover more about the DC superheroes. Written and drawn by Death and Sparkles creator Rob Justus, and introduces Rhea to an 8-year-old Clark Kent and his superpowered friends Hawkgirl and Green Lantern Guy Gardner as they test their abilities, grow together, and even earn some good guy points along the way. And it will eventually include future books of the series will eventually include Batman, Wonder Woman, Mr. Terrific, and more. Then there's Action Comics 1085, which is the Superman Superstars, concluding on April 9th with the release of this issue, written by G. Willow Wilson, featuring art by Gavin. I try to pronounce it. Part 1 of a 2-part story is a real job for Superman. Lois Lane sends the Man of Steel to a scientific outpost in the Arctic to investigate new technology that promises to halt global warming. Yeah, can we get that now? When Superman Rise, he quickly finds out the outposts have been plagued by a villain who plans to melt humanity's hope for the survival. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. So yeah, Superman's been getting more of a push than ever, and I'm excited for this push after God knows how long we had to deal with the Batman push that we got all the time, and it's spread throughout the other books. I'm glad Superman's getting the push again, and then, to top things off, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, guys, first look, courtesy of James Gunn. On Blue Sky, Gunn's our new platform of choice for me, Gunn announced that the cameras have begun rolling for Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, starring Mila Kunis as Kara-Zor-El, aka Supergirl. He also shared a photo of her sitting in her actor's chair, so technically it's the first look at the character. But they also showcased the logo being red and blue, which looks awesome. And it will be a standalone story, and it's adapted based heavily on the graphic novel by Tom King and his crew. And it was also nominated for Best Limited Series, and many people have loved it, and I know people who really hope for more of this story continuing, hopefully one day, but yeah. And then there's Jason Momoa being recasted in the DC Universe as the Rockin' Bad Mofo Lobo. Yeah. And there's been this whole issue with the Batman mythos. They keep saying it's going to be part of the DCU, but then they say it's not, and then they say it is, and then Matt Reeves came out and said it's not. And then there's also the Clayface movie that's in the works as well, that is set in the DCU, so we'll see how that goes. after he made his grand debut in Creature Commandos and got melted and eviscerated. But yeah. So yeah, everyone, that's about it, what we have for all the news for that time. We'll see you all again with the next episode. This is your host, Eric Brown of Neo Reality Collective. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other content in the YouTube description below. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you all again next time. Peace and take care. And stay tuned for this last outro, and I'll see you all again. Peace.
And that was our latest edition of Neo Reality Collective. Be sure to follow and support NRE creator Eric Brown on Twitter and YouTube. Check the links in the description below, and we'll see you all next time.